Good afternoon, everyone. I am Rashida Jones. I was, up until about 6 or 7 weeks ago, the president of MSNBC. Thank you. So I was having lunch with Diane, as one does, and I was telling her about this big pivot that I was making in my career. After 25 years in news, 11 years with the same company, and 4 years running MSNBC, I was ready to make a change. And so I'm laying this all out to her, and she immediately says, "You are designing your life." I was like, "Oh, that sounds really good. What does that mean?" And I started talking to her about where my life was going, where I wanted to take my career, and it immediately clicked that I was in charge of doing that. And so as I was thinking about this pivot, I'm thinking about all of the things that could go wrong. You know, what's at risk? What might not work out? What might crumble because of this? And in a world where, you know, I have a family, my husband and I have 4 kids, 2 of them are in college, so that's a lot of tuition. There was a lot of risk to taking the leap. But I knew it was the right time for me, and I knew I was ready to do it. And the only thing getting in the way of that period was fear. What if something doesn't work out? What if the dream job doesn't happen? What if the right opportunity doesn't come when I'm ready for it? And then I realized I cannot operate in fear. I cannot operate under any circumstance that doesn't allow me to bet on myself. And so as I'm thinking about this idea of fear and risk and what's at stake and what could go wrong, I also thought about regret and how much I would regret it if I didn't take the leap that I knew I could take, I knew I wanted to take, and I knew I was very capable of doing because I was afraid. How on earth could I look at my 16-year-old who's celebrating International Women's Day today as well and say, "Mom couldn't do it because I was afraid that it might not work out"? How could I look at my younger self and say, "You did things that weren't possible when you started in this field. You already did that, but you can't take the next leap and do what's, again, potentially impossible"? And so I took the leap. I left my role. I started charting a path of what the future would look like. I started activating a network that I had built for 25 years. And I realized, you can do this. You'll figure it out. I don't know exactly which road to take. There are lots of open roads, but I don't know which one makes sense for me. I know I will get to exercise some different muscles from what I exercise every day in my life running a newsroom. I might actually get to exercise now that I have a little bit of extra time. But whatever that looks like, it's going to be on my terms. It's going to be under my direction, my narrative, my way of doing it. And so as we're all thinking about our lives, and there were so many good gems just on stage from Aurora and Sophia just now, I want you guys to think about what is that one thing that you're slightly afraid to do that feels like it's just out of reach, that you may or may not be successful at, and then just go do it. Just go do it. It could be something big, it could be something small, but that thing that you always wanted, you are very capable of doing. We are women and we get things done. And so as you're thinking about how do you pay it forward to the ones who come behind us, how do you respect the sacrifice and the work of our mothers and grandmothers, think about what that one risk is. What is that one thing that you can pour yourself into? What's that thing that's a little scary and a little uncertain, and then just go do it. Happy International Women's Day.